Not on there, but I'm here.
All right.
This is because we have extra plushies, by the way. So.
Oh, those are pretty cool.
Yeah, one for you.
Okay, I'll take it. Yeah.
go.
Do you want one?
Yeah, sure.
Well, hello guys. So my name is Ben. I'm a reporter for DL News, this newer crypto outlet from the founders of DeFi Llama. And I used to report on crypto for Fortune magazine. I think kind of to start off, I'll just have everybody on this many-person panel introduce themselves, starting from my right.
Aaron with the Osmosis team. I focus on the growth side.
Mayur, I'm the founder and CEO of Arcana, where we're building chain abstraction.
Hi, I'm Jeet. I lead ecosystem at Agoric.
Hi everyone, I'm Ksenia. I'm the CMO at Orca, leading DEX on Solana.
Hello guys, coming from Novus. I'm the founder of the money market that operates over Cosmos SDK.
Cool. So this panel is titled DeFi 2.0. So I think that kind of begs the question, what was DeFi 1.0? And maybe because you gifted me that funny little plushie, I'll start with you.
Yeah, well, I think DeFi 1.0 is probably like more of like an opinion thing, but it's basically the most initial phases of DeFi where no one knows what it is, and you're like reading through all these forums. The UIs are ugly. It's like kind of like the curve interface. It's like, okay, this is where you show someone, I guess in Web 2, and they're like, I will never touch this, but I think it's cool that you go and do it. You're never gonna get me to touch it. And I think that's like DeFi 1.0. And then we transitioned, obviously, I think right now we're kind of in the 2.0.
But anyone else wanting to define what exactly DeFi 1.0 was?
I can go. I think the main goal of DeFi 1.0 was bringing finance actually to the blockchain without any intermediaries, which it did marvelously in my opinion. But it arrived to a couple of issues that we're having now that we're dealing with in DeFi 2.0.
So maybe this is putting the cart before the horse in terms of the order of my questions, but what were some of those issues? I don't know. Meyer, do you want to kind of jump in?
I think like DeFi 1.0, now looking back and relative to what we're going to be probably talking about, the biggest issues have obviously been user experience, the amount of education and in the know you need to be able to kind of use it has always been like a problem, and I think we're very close to kind of solving that at many levels. And I think that is something that has always plagued this space.
Gotcha. Kamen, do you want to kind of jump in and tell?
I believe the 1.0 is the layer, something that we built as a code without actually going to the users. So the foundation of what is coming to be DeFi 2.0, 3.0, and so on and so forth, the base layer from which we actually encounter different and add different functionalities so people actually get to use it.
So what is the base layer? Like, are you talking about the DEXs? Are you talking about like the DeFi protocols, kind of like Uniswap, et cetera? Is that like, what do you?
Everything, liquidity, pools, DEXs, the availability to transact in different ways with different wallets, blockchain, through cross chains, and so on and so forth. This is the 0 level or 1 level where people started interacting, but still it's not for the regular users. It's for the ones that are really into the technology.
Gotcha. So I mean, like, I don't know if it was Meyer or I'm sorry, what was your name again? Sediam. Was saying that there's like all these problems. I mean, and we're close to solving them, but is that actually true? Like, are we actually close to solving a lot of the problems in terms of, because DeFi is often very relegated to like these core users, as you were talking about. And maybe what was your name again?
Jeet.
Would be able to kind of talk a little bit about that. Like, are we actually close to solving these problems or no?
So I think part of it, right, is when we started with blockchain, right, we have all these different ecosystems, all these specific chains. Ethereum obviously captures so much mindshare by having so much liquidity in one spot, right? So I think part of it right now is, all right, now everyone wants to do their own DeFi, right? So we're getting a lot of liquidity fragmentation across a lot of the L2s. So I think a big part of what's going to be solved, at least partially from the user experience side, is trying to have everything be interoperable, right? The idea of chain abstraction, the ability to move assets around, unify liquidity. So I think that's a really big part of what DeFi 2.0 is going to look like, where, and ultimately for end users, right? Right now, DeFi, like a lot of financial products, is really specialized for people who are very familiar with the space. But as kind of crypto gets more adoption and more people come into DeFi, I think that's going to look a lot differently, where people are just going to want just the best outcomes versus like the traditional tribal view of, oh, this chain, this DEX, right, trading these assets specifically here. People just ultimately just want to generate the most amount of net worth that they can.
But is that actually, I mean, maybe I'm always pushing back, but like, you know, one could argue that we've even become more tribalized, right? There's more L2s, there's more DEXs, there's more of these things. So it doesn't even seem like we're getting to that 2.0 vision that you're at least talking about, where, you know, people are able just to kind of trade kind of seamlessly regardless of what chain they're on. So I don't know if anyone else here wants to kind of jump in and say,
Like, I'll hop in and say, like what you said, there are more L2s, there are more DEX. It's like, these things keep happening is because this is the easiest way to actually go and raise money. You can't go raise money if you don't have like something that's like, oh, we're gonna have an L1 or be an L2. It's like, we're gonna be an app on an L2. Oh, good luck raising money. Or you're like limited to like a 500K raise. So you're just screwed. So it's like what Jeet was saying is like, you know, unifying liquidity it used to be important, but now it's like, no, we just dispatch and go get the liquidity wherever it is, and you don't have to care about it. So like, you know, if a fund goes, or like a project goes and launches and they raise like $10 million and they go and bribe all this liquidity to come over and they spend, you know, $1 million on incentives and like they get all this TVL, cool, good for them. But to compete with that as a chain that's like, let's say like 3 years old, they've already, you know, spent a lot of their runway, they're, you know, matured. And then it's like, wait, how are you gonna go compete with someone that's just dumping new treasury and funding into these things and getting liquidity? No, you just go and like connect to it and then do whatever you want with that connection. That's like probably, you know, good for one, like teams that are mature, and then two, users that don't care. They just want to trade whatever asset they want to trade. So like this is like, you know, what Polaris is working to solve. That's my take.
I guess that's kind of the spicy take in terms of the, like, that people are just, it's almost like you want to make more money. You want to raise a lot of money. So you launch your own chain, you launch your own protocol rather than actually building on existing stuff. I guess, do you guys agree with that, or is that misrepresenting kind of what the situation is?
I think that's sort of been like the status quo, where you have the Aaves and the Uniswaps of the world who constantly need to keep building instances of their apps on all these different chains. And because if they don't do it, someone else will. Someone else is going to launch, fork their code, and become like the Uniswap of, I don't know, BNB chain, Uniswap of the next new Alt L1, L2, whatever that launches, right? Because all of these chains are going to play TVL games and, you know, say we have these many users and a lot of liquidity coming our way basically through incentives, but that's not going to last. But what's going to change is if you end up unifying users' assets and allow them to spend it as one, anywhere they want to, it's a bit of an exaggeration, but pretty close to it. If you allow them to do this, then you don't need to keep building instances of apps on different chains, A. You don't then also have to worry about other people forking your code and launching it on this new chain, because even users on that new chain can still come to your app and spend the assets they hold on that chain on your app right away. So I think this is a paradigm shift in how apps are going to be built, not be forked, and how chains themselves sort of conduct themselves. Like general purpose chains, I think few of them will remain and probably win out. But my hot take is that, you know, long term, until unless you offer like a very clear differentiation to developers of apps, you're not going to get adopted.
Gotcha. So it kind of seems a little bit like the takeaway is that the next step, okay, so we have this fragmentation, but the next step is like creating kind of these bridges or ways for people to kind of connect liquidity across different chains. I mean, is this happening? Maybe Ksenia, you want to kind of jump in.
I think a lot is happening around the proof of liquidity and actually working towards the interoperability. Whether we are at the point when this is working 100%, I'm not sure, but we're definitely moving towards that direction.
Gotcha. Kavan, do you want to kind of?
Yeah, we actually began those like 3 years ago already as an idea. This was a hot topic then as well. Well, this is a vision. It should work like that. Financial systems in the Web 2 were like that, segregated liquidity as well. At some point, they started aggregating their liquidity and actually transferring funds very easily between different financial institutions. The same vision is here and the same would happen, but currently there are thousands of liquidity pools, different systems that don't talk to each other. And the vision is that they would align. Whether this vision is here, I don't think so, but it's gradually getting there. And it's getting one by one, piece by piece. Adding new DEXs that are able to transact with different networks, then adding liquidity that's the same if you add it on one network, the same on all other networks, and so on and so forth, until you actually, as a user, come and you can do with one single wallet transactions on every other blockchain.
So, I mean, okay, so DeFi 2.0, if we're kind of defining it, right? We have this like one idea of creating liquidity across all these different fragmented ecosystems that have kind of shown up. But the other thing that I'm thinking about too is like, TVL has been talked about, obviously. That's kind of the core metric in DeFi. And when you
But
look
it
at
shouldn't be.
it shouldn't be.
Volume and,
It's-
and sufficient liquidity, not the full amount of liquidity. As long as it's enough, that's the best. That's what you need.
So what is it? Can you unpack that for me? Like why?
Well, let's say it's like, I guess an extreme example would be you have $1 of TVL and it does $1 trillion in volume. This would be clearly like never happen. So it's like, all right, how little can it go to where you actually maximize the amount of volume? Because any volume that's sitting there is not getting utilized. It's just wasted, like opportunity. So I know the TVL is just a beautiful, sexy number, but like volume actually sufficient TVL is the most important.
But is there ways of measuring, like have we gotten to, like what is the volumes right now compared to like DeFi summer in 2021?
I don't know these numbers, but I would say it's like,
I guess are we doing better? Because I think that's the thing of like DeFi 2.0. It's like, okay, well, if you're looking at TVL, right, which is you're saying is the sexy number, but maybe not the totally
the tech
true
is
number.
definitely better. So it's like you have Uni V2, and the reason V3 exists is because of this logic. It's like it's just more efficient, right?
Yeah, but I guess maybe my question is like, I don't know if DeFi's gotten more users, right? Maybe TVL is maybe a proxy for people that are actually using DeFi protocols and stuff like that. And TVL compared to at its height, which was about 180 billion, now it's hovering around 90 billion kind of ecosystem, or like crypto writ large. So I mean, is really connecting liquidity across different chains and different protocols like the way to attract new users? Because like DeFi 2.0 to me also seems like crypto is going to attract new people to come on and actually start using these products. I don't know if anyone want to kind of want to launch into that, because Ania, you seem like you're nodding.
Yeah, I think there are multiple ways to attract users. And to tap into the previous part of your question, I think the main issue why the TVL is down, and I agree that we have to track different metrics because TVL is not the most accurate, but it's basically due to two reasons. First of all, it's the current stage of the crypto market. So we thought that this is going to be the bull market, then a lot of people got attracted to crypto and then got spooked because they got burned quite easily. And now I think we're kind of in the pre-bull, at least I would like to think so. So there are still not as many users, and I think majority of the users that we see in protocols are returning users, the ones who've been with us throughout the bear market. So we cannot see whether there are that many new users yet. And I think secondly, it's in general the economical and political conditions in the world, because we have a lot of uncertainties, and crypto is the most risky asset class. It always reacts the first to that. So we don't see that many new users yet. But I would say that also another thing that DeFi 2.0 brought is that there are so many new protocols doing some crazy things. Like even people inside the industry don't understand what it is, and the industry moves so fast. So we're basically talking about yield on yield in different shapes and forms. And if even existing users find it difficult to understand how it works, there's a lot of education and a lot of support that we have to provide to new users to be able to enter this industry, because year after year, it's becoming more and more difficult. And you basically need to guide the new users into using your product and in general understanding what's the supporting ecosystem.
He does.
Yeah, and so a quick point about that as well. I think a lot with the new users coming in, certainly this cycle. Let's say last cycle in 21, we had a lot of people coming in early, obviously right before that was DeFi summer as well. DeFi was very hot. Now a lot of people coming in are just they're just on pump.fun, right? So meme coins have now become this, it's not quite DeFi, but like, and we're seeing some interesting, I think like I met someone who's working on like a Doge Dex, right? You're getting more meme coin focused DeFi, but I think a big part of it this cycle is people are just kind of aping into meme coins. And that's what's really bringing in new users. So I think to that point, it's really like, what are going to be the things that attract users back to DeFi, right? There have to be something new, something a little bit more interesting beyond just like whatever returns people are getting now.
What,
Right?
I mean, do you have any ideas?
Again, I think part of that is getting meme coins into DeFi. I think just, and I think it's a little bit silly to think about, but I think there is an appetite for things like this, and we're kind of seeing that more and more in the market.
I guess, I mean, that maybe goes to another question about like what would actually like attract a lot of people to DeFi. So like DeFi is like, it's known to be quite risky, right? Because you don't have, the same safeguards that one would have if you were using Gmail or something, if you forget your password or something like that. So it seems to me quite risky because like meme coins are the most like volatile of like crypto, which is like super volatile. To bring meme coins to DeFi, that would be like, I don't know, adding leverage even more on crazy volatile. Like, why would people, do you think that's responsible?
I mean, I think there's just adrenaline junkies out there. I mean, people were trading 100x leverage on GMX, right? Like, so there are definitely, there's people out there that just love to just go crazy. So.
Gotcha. I mean, what do my other fellow panelists think? Like, do we need meme coins on dexes or like not dexes, but like bring meme coin to or
The
meme
main
coins?
question is like, how do we get more people to come? And like G was saying, make it more interesting. But I think the actual most interesting thing would just make it a better experience. Like how do you make it feel? How do people that have never touched crypto, nevertheless DeFi, come in? It's like, okay, like I can use this on day one because I've used Fidelity. Even though Fidelity isn't the most beautiful experience themselves, it's like it's just simple enough to use. It's like, why do I still use the shitty old Microsoft Paint? Sorry, there are kids in here, but like Microsoft Paint 2D or whatever.
How dare you like criticize Microsoft Paint?
Because I love it. It's so simple and so easy because it's just I just use it still. It doesn't. You don't have to like make it new and fancy. You just have to make it super UX friendly. And what people that have never touched crypto or DeFi, they can hop in and be like, oh, like this is so easy to use. Maybe they don't even know they're using DeFi. This is like also like like a grand vision. It's like okay, like it just like seamlessly meshes. And I feel like this isn't not happening. What do I mean by that? It's like okay, like you go to payments. So there's the Pay app, which is so easy to onboard. I was at dinner eating some like Thai food that was pretty decent, actually with him. I didn't realize we were in Hong Kong, and it's like, all right, like how do I pay him? If he's gonna cover the bill, I gotta pay him. It's like, all right, I don't have any Hong Kong dollars. They don't have Venmo from the US. Okay, oh, there's this app. Let me actually try it. So I had it downloaded for like a month, but I never actually tried it. Then I loaded it with Apple Pay with my credit card, took 5 seconds, and then I generated a link for them to scan, and then they downloaded it, and it popped into their wallet with the download at the same time. So it's like, that's not necessarily, like, I mean, I guess you could like argue it's DeFi, but it's clearly a step in the direction that makes it so seamless. Users don't even care. It's like, okay, it's just like a Venmo, but you can connect with anyone around the world that doesn't have Venmo or PayPal. They don't have to KYC at all. And then how do you actually take that same logic and that same user flow, that product genius, and then you push it into DeFi?
Gotcha. So it's like a UX question, where you're actually like making it easy to use.
Yeah, but when people say like it's a UX thing, I think the idea is like it's just UX, make UX better, is always understated. It's like it's that big of a deal. And that's my feeling on that.
But so many things are actually contribute to UX. Like security contributes to UX.
Yeah.
High liquidity, capital efficiency contributes
Yeah.
to user experience. So when someone says UX, and if we are thinking, oh, it's what you see on a screen and how many buttons I have to click, that of course does contribute to it.
2
but
clicks with
it's so many
high
things.
security, high privacy, that's like the perfect world. Now, do we trust this Pay app? It's called PAYY, by the way. I believe I trust it because the person I trust most when it comes to the privacy world shills it. This is Dave from Osmosis. So if I basically put my, that Voldemort meme, it's like, you put your faith in me from now on. It's like, I put my faith in him, I use this app, and I just trust it. To me, that's good enough UX, and I think probably a decent amount of people.
Gotcha. But you're kind of getting at another thing here, right? It's like maybe another part of the UX of making UX better in DeFi is just making it safer.
Yeah.
Like, I guess like where would you put that in terms of your rankings of priorities for developers and protocol developers?
I mean, it's got to be right up there, and I don't think there's any other way to look at it. The thing is, if like security, privacy, all of these things are essentially features. You can't like sell them on it because they have to be table stakes. End of the day, because what you're up against is things that people trust, have extremely high brand value, and those sorts of things. So you can't go up to people and say, I'm highly secure, or I preserve your privacy. Those have to be table stakes. High capital efficiency has to be, in a sense, table stakes. Like, am I getting the best deal on your DEX or not, right? So those sorts of things are not things that you can sell people on. Then what's left?
Yeah.
I don't think people care that much about like, well, no, let me rephrase this. I think there's an acceptance and tolerance for not having the best price based on the volumes that people like Trust Wallet do, or like other like people just buy straight into a DEX because they just like don't care. Like they take a 3% cut and they believe that they might get 100% upside. Like, so this is, from talking to all these different wallets and like DEX aggregators and whatnot, and like how they onboard with people just using credit cards or their bank transfers. There is a high tolerance for not having the best price.
But those are all just trade-offs, aren't they, really?
Do you guys want to get into this? Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's heated, but there's a conversation about
Well, I
UX.
figure like, most panels are like, yes, not, agree, like find something to disagree about and then disagree and then,
Oh,
maybe
you
hug
came
after.
here. You came here.
I'm not even on the thing, so like this is a good starting point, right?
Yeah. He has to actually make a name for himself because there is no name.
Exactly. And then I'll throw like these plushies at people afterwards.
I
Yeah.
think it's really good that it's a heated conversation because obviously UX is still a huge pain point in our industry, but I would agree that it's not just about the UX, it's like a wider problem, right? It's always about onboarding, which includes the product, it includes the legal side, it includes like marketing, growth. So it's kind of like a complex problem. And what I noticed, actually the teams that have team members based in Asia or in LATAM, somehow they always tackle UX and other things around onboarding better, because I think they just use those products on a daily basis, so they kind of know what's gonna work, because this is part of their everyday life. People who are based more in the westernized world, just simply because we do on-chain transactions, like, let's be honest, mostly for fun, for trading, or like we do it once in a while, we don't have that much of a gist of like what's gonna work. So we need to look at more protocols in order to understand like what is really usable and what people want.
You and Jeet, I feel like, are agreeing a lot. So I see you nodding.
Find something to disagree on.
No, you can agree. I'm just saying, I'm just
worry.
bringing Jeet into the conversation because you.
I got some spicy takes, but
What are the? Okay,
I'll get
first
to that in a
agree and then
second.
disagree.
no, specifically on this. So earlier this year, I spent like 6 weeks in Argentina, and it was just really eye-opening to just really be in a different market and really understand the kind of financial concerns and issues that people have in different markets. And I think something that would behoove a lot of people in this space is just to go abroad and really just trying to figure out what users kind of want and need. Like even to the UX point, I was just speaking to a bartender randomly, and he overheard myself and a friend talking about crypto, and he started talking about how like he had Bitcoin and Ethereum and as just like speculative investments, but he had basically onboarded his entire family to like USDT on Tron, and basically they get their paychecks in on a Friday, immediately go on an exchange, convert it immediately to Tron, and that's just how they use it, right? And his grandmother, who didn't speak any English, had figured out how to use it just because the demand for this product was so high that like at some point, yes, we talk a lot about UX, but like if the demand of something is high enough, people will overcome that.
Gotcha. Kevin, I feel like
I want to zoom out a little bit. So in any financial product that is created through the years, there is always the first couple of years that are building the first block, right? Something that I've mentioned. But then comes the product need. A lot of the times in the first couple of years, there is not a product need for people, or just they don't understand it yet. So here the idea is that during those years, there would always be products that would actually not fit the market. And I believe we have seen that from 2018 onwards. A lot of the products didn't fit the market. Whether it's a money market, whether it's DeFi, whatever that is, a lot didn't fit the needs of the customers. So now we are seeing more focus on what are the needs of the customer first, so that we can create the product that they need, and then how to present to them those products so that they actually click twice and don't need to go to another place to do anything else. So those two things, once they twinkle into something that's a product viable for the customer, they would actually come by masses. A lot of people would join just because those two are met. We are currently in the beginning. We still do have products that are met the customer needs. A lot don't. And the UX, well, getting there, starting there. But everything should be two-click, very simple, very easy to use, very intuitive, without anyone coming to actually guide you through.
Gotcha. Jeet, you said you had spicy takes.
Oh yeah, so spicy takes. We're talking about like DeFi 2.0, right? What does DeFi 3.0 look like? So for context here, I was an AI founder before I was in crypto, and what does a world look like when instead of like me going out and actively doing all these different trading strategies, I'm just like, you know what, this AI agent, this bot that like kind of knows what I want, there's some parameters around it, we'll just go ahead and kind of do it, right? I think that world is very much coming, and I don't think it's that far away, and I think it's going to be very interesting to say the least.
So basically, like an AI agent will be your investment fund manager?
Yeah, basically imagine a much more intelligent like robo-advisor like Betterment or like Wealthfront, right?
But do we want that? I don't know.
Is that spicy though?
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting.
Certainly interesting. I want the spice. Bring the spice.
You're here to start wars.
I think I just agree with it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the timeline would be, but like, I think like why wouldn't it happen?
Well, so I guess the larger point of that is a lot of what we think about as DeFi even right now, I think it will basically go away. Or just like, it'll just be automated and done by not humans.
So
it'll
just delete
feel
all the
very
financial
different.
advisor jobs out there.
I think finance is going to look a lot different in a few years for that reason, right? And also like over time, like a lot of these, so like you're going to have, ultimately, if you're just trading, you're going to have to do some crazy trades in order to kind of make money because a lot of the bots are going to be thinking very similarly. So yeah, should be interesting.
Interesting. I guess, one thing you, Christina, just like briefly mentioned was the idea of the legal aspect. And I'm curious whether anyone would be willing to opine like from the regulatory aspect, maybe because anyone would want to, because you mentioned it. It seems like that's also a blocker, right, from going to DeFi 2.0. And I'm curious, like from a regulation standpoint, the SEC specifically, other governments have gone after DeFi protocols and gone after DeFi developers. Maybe it's an easy question, but what are your kind of thoughts on the legal and regulatory aspect?
I think we definitely became way more cautious in terms of legal, and somehow I was always lucky to work with very sensible protocols who were thinking about compliance, regulations from the beginning. But now I definitely feel more and more of it. To be honest, I've never spoke that much to legal in my life as this year, because I think like with all the cases heating up and SEC just being constantly on crypto, it's really important. And I feel like where the industry is moving, it's kind of, instead of fighting with the governments, merging the ideologies. And basically, the main idea behind creating more regulations is protecting those who are vulnerable to DeFi, let's say. So people who are new to the industry, who don't understand the risks, and who are thinking that they will start trading or they will start LPing and like magically become millionaires overnight. So I think majority of the regulations are in place to basically drive the line between people who are actually sophisticated DeFi users and the newbies.
Gotcha.
What if you just like, lobby yourself to be a prime minister of a region or country like Justin Sun, and then just make your own laws, call it a day? What if the entire industry spent enough money to actually like do this with a relevant region or a relevant country, and then bam, good to go? Well,
but
it's
is
like,
that possible,
Dubai is
though?
like pretty friendly, so this is good.
Yeah, I guess my question is, maybe the more universal question is like, is DeFi 2.0 even possible with a lot of regulatory, I would say, confrontation in places with the biggest capital?
Probably depends on the next 4 years go.
Yeah.
If we get the Department of Government Efficiency, rip out all the bureaucracy, maybe this actually happens. I don't know.
Gotcha. I guess that's a kind of an implicit stand of Elon Musk. Maybe Elon Musk will save DeFi. I don't know. Anyway, I mean, I guess kind of like any closing thoughts. I don't know how we're doing on time, but any kind of closing thoughts on what's next for kind of the future of DeFi? Meyer.
I can go first. So There are two ways to kind of approach. I think the biggest problem is the liquidity fragmentation. You have so many chains, you probably have many more chains, app chains, sovereign chains, roll-ups, et cetera, et cetera. And I think the liquidity fragmentation problem needs to be attacked from two sides. One is basically aggregating liquidity at protocol level. This is what, you know, the ag layers, maybe even the ICPs, ZK Sync's Elastic Chain, OP Superchain, all of these guys are trying to do it, but it's hard to see a future where all of them will see eye to eye and agree on, you know, one way of doing this, at least not for the next couple of years. So our best bet, according to me, is to actually do it bottoms up, where you're aggregating stuff at the account level for the user, so they're not hindered. And as long as they're using, DeFi applications that have sufficient liquidity, like my friend from Cosmoverse just spoke about, then I think they're safe. It's going to be capital efficient. They're going to get reasonably best prices, but they're actually going to be doing it with far fewer clicks, with more security, and be actually able to spend more, which I think is a huge unlock.
Gotcha. Do you want to kind of?
Yeah, so I'll keep it pretty quick. So like DeFi 1.0, right, putting finance on chain. DeFi 2.0, I think really solving liquidity issues, UX issues, just making everything interoperable and cross-chain. And then DeFi 3.0 is just robots.
Cool. Okay. Sanya?
I think the future of DeFi is actually making it our everyday necessity, the same way that we use banking system, the traditional financial system. In my thinking, this is the way forward. But again, as we tapped into many issues of the current DeFi, not sure when this is going to happen, but definitely, I think in the past even 4 years, the thinking of people inside crypto changed. Instead of like staying inside the bubble and actually fighting with the government, we actually want to align forces and kind of merge traditional systems with the DeFi systems for the better of people around the world, because we can see more and more people globally actually using crypto.
Cool. Okay.
Well, the future of DeFi is actually not understanding that it exists. People would just interact every day with transactions on the blockchain without their knowledge that they're doing so. That's the main idea. That's the main goal that we're all aiming at.
Cool. Okay. And my nameless spicy taker.
I actually just thought of this like 30 seconds ago, and I actually believe from the slight or small topic we just touched on is that DeFi 2.0 or 3.0 will come regardless of time, but the question is like how long. And what I mean by that is that the better the economies are globally, the less of a need there is for DeFi, but the more friendly regulatory and compliance is with crypto, the quicker we are able to do this. However, the worse economies are globally, there's more demand, like Argentina or Turkey. People are going to start piling in desperately and finding ways out of their economies. So again, like I do think a lot of this hinges on the route the US takes over the next 4 years, but I do think it's just a matter of time regardless. Also, again, if you want a plushie, please raise your hand. I'll throw them out after. Oh, nice.
Okay. Plushies. It's plushie time, guys. I'll just. This is the best end to a panel I've ever done. Okay. You got to do the last one. Okay, there we go.
Okay, now we're good.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to us kind of opine. Yeah.